While anyone who watches a day of cable news is intimately familiar with Trump's 4 older kids, Donald Jr., Ivanka, Eric, and Tiffany, the youngest of the Trump clan remains shrouded in a bit of mystery. From life in Trump Tower all the way to the White House, here's the truth about Donald's relationship with Barron. Barron Trump is the first presidential son to live in the White House since John F. Kennedy Jr. in the early 60s. You might remember that the Obamas, Bushes, and Clinton families all had girls. But Barron wasn't packing up his digs at Trump Tower immediately after Donald took office. According to Politico, Donald and Melania Trump didn't want to pull Barron out of school in the middle of the year. So instead of moving right after the January 2017 inauguration, Barron and his mother waited until that June to make the jump.
Today marks the first full day Melania Trump and 11-year-old son Barron Trump are official residents of the White House.
At the time, some experts believed Barron's presence would lend a level of normalcy to the White House. Ohio University professor Catherine Jellison told the outlet, "At a time when this particular presidency needs an air of stability, the move might lend that. The move helps to give the impression that Donald Trump's home life is under control. It may have also been a strategy to save taxpayer money. According to The Hill, it cost the NYPD between $127,000 and $146,000 a day to provide security for Barron and Melania." Though the world of political commentary can be vicious, and almost anything goes when it comes to the grown-ups, many draw the line when the focus lands on children. According to The Sun in 2017, Saturday Night Live writer Katie Rich tweeted, "Barron will be this country's first homeschool shooter." Rich was immediately suspended from the show, and she later tweeted an apology which read, "I sincerely apologize for the insensitive tweet. I deeply regret my actions and offensive words. It was inexcusable, and I'm so sorry." But the White House, and presumably Donald, didn't let it slide, issuing a statement that read, "It is a long-standing tradition that the children of presidents are afforded the opportunity to grow up outside of the political spotlight. The White House fully expects this tradition to continue. We appreciate your cooperation in this matter." The diplomatic and understated response was seconded by none other than former first daughter Chelsea Clinton, who also posted on Facebook urging everyone to leave Barron alone.
Do you think the children of presidents should be off limits?
In addition to his residence at the White House, Melania reports that Barron has a pretty sweet setup in New York City, too. According to Parenting, Barron has his own floor in the Trump Tower penthouse, which his mother lovingly referred to as Barron's, quote, living room. She added, "Since he has his own floor, he can draw on his living room and his own walls." And it appears that Barron's life at the White House hasn't been too much of a downgrade. According to Inquisitor, he has his own bedroom there, decked out to his exact specifications and fully stocked with all his favorite snacks, food, and personal items, all of which is made possible by a White House staff of over 100. Clearly that Donald provides for his son.
He's all into sport, so he's a great athlete.
During a 2018 speech at Liberty University, Melania described her son as being very into sports. And while she didn't specify which sports exactly, if Donald Trump has anything to say about it, Barron won't be putting on shoulder pads anytime soon. Donald said he thought football equipment would have gotten better, and though he loved the NFL, he wasn't keen on letting his youngest play the game.
Would you let your son Barron play football?
If he wanted to, yes. Would I steer him that way? No, I wouldn't.
Trump explained to Face the Nation in 2019, "I hate to say it because I love to watch football, but I really think that as far as my son, well, I've heard NFL players saying they wouldn't let their sons play football. I would have a hard time with it." That's not to say he doesn't want Barron playing any sports. In a 2015 interview with People magazine, he described his youngest son as a, quote, natural athlete, and Barron has been widely reported to be into the other football, soccer. Though it's not exactly clear how much influence Donald has had on Barron, apparently the teen is a lot like his dad, which reportedly was evident at a very young age. As early as 2013, Melania referred to Barron as Mini Donald in an interview with ABC News. She told Parenting, "When he was 5 years old, he wanted to be like Daddy, a businessman and golfer. He loves to build something and tear it down and build something else." She also told the outlet that Barron was very opinionated and strong-willed in his convictions, and that his personality was the biggest reason she dubbed him Little Donald. Donald's former butler, Anthony Senecal, concurred, telling Inside Edition that Barron may be more like Donald than any of his other children. Donald Trump Jr., perhaps the original Mini Donald, has been mum on the nickname, but he did reveal on Oprah back in 2009,
Is it a luxury to have Trump as your last name?
There's definitely a stigmata associated with it at times where people just assume that you're going to be some sort of spoiled brat.
Immediately after Donald and Melania tested positive for coronavirus in October 2020, Barron was tested, along with his half-sister Ivanka and her husband Jared Kushner. All tested negative, and at the time, the First Lady's Chief of Staff, Stephanie Grisham, announced, all precautions are being taken to ensure Barron is kept safe and healthy. Later, it was revealed that Barron was in fact positive for the virus, but had no symptoms, according to the Associated Press.
The First Lady says she is glad that she, Barron Trump, and President Trump all got the coronavirus at the same time so they could take care of each other.
Presumably, like most parents, Donald has previously had a conversation with his youngest son about the issue. During a news conference in March 2020, when the president was asked what he was telling his family about the virus, he responded, Barron says, "How bad is this? It's bad, but we're going to be hopefully a best case, not a worst case, and that's what we're working for." In 2015, Melania told Parenting that Donald had never changed any diapers for their son when he was a baby, and it was totally okay by her. She explained, "It's not important to me. We know our roles." This may well sum up Donald Trump's feelings on attending to children, which he made obvious during a 2006 interview on the Opie and Anthony show. Donald was adamant that he'd never changed a diaper and reiterated that the couple was happy with that arrangement.
So, Daniel, you're not opposed to changing diapers, you just haven't had to do it. But you know how to do it.
I would be able to do it, yes.
Yeah.
He went on to explain that he was much more of a hands-off father with Barron, telling the podcast, "If I had a different type of wife, I probably wouldn't have a baby, you know? Because that's not my thing. I'm really like a great father, but certain things you do and certain things you don't. It's just not for me." Though Donald may figuratively be a hands-off father, experts say that his actual body language demonstrates a great deal of fatherly pride in his youngest son. Even when Barron was a child, Donald would frequently pose with both hands on his son's shoulders. Body language expert Judy James revealed to Express, Donald tends to stand him directly in front of himself, clutching both his shoulders in a gesture of pride and endorsement. James also compared Donald's body language with his son to Mufasa from The Lion King, presenting the boy to the media as if he were holding a baby cub over the sprawling savannah. As Barron got older, his father allowed him the space to stand on his own, according to the expert. He is now regularly seen walking beside his parents, with no physical contact at all. Not that the President of the United States is going to step out for milk and come back 3 days later, but apparently Donald Trump lets his children in on his whereabouts. During a speech at the Conservative Political Action Conference in February 2020, acting White House Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney said he noticed the president calling his son multiple times to check in, letting him know when his helicopter would be coming home. He said, "The president's just a really caring father and you don't see that." Mulvaney's statement was seen as unusual by some, as the White House tends to leave Barron Trump out of most communication due to their respect for his privacy. The New York Times called the move, quote, curious, questioning why a presidential aide would mention Barron when the White House has gone to great lengths to ensure the press respectfully excludes him from the conversation. Golf is a favorite pastime for Donald Trump, and while he's often spotted playing with athletes, celebs, and professional golfers, he also takes time to golf with his sons. And according to Politico, that includes Barron Trump. A family friend told the outlet, "I've seen Barron out there with him on a few occasions, and he's a good athlete by his own right."
I'd like to see golf be an aspirational game.
But Barron may have a long road ahead if he wants to catch up with his perpetually golfing papa. According to Town & Country, Barron's half-brother Eric Trump said in a press conference at the U.S. Women's Open in 2017, "My father's an unbelievable golfer. He loves the game. Once he gets on that green, he's dangerous. He's a great putter. A lot of others in this room can attest to that." Generally, when one parent refers to you as the other one's kid, you did something severely messed up. And going off that logic, we can only assume Barron messed up big, since when the president spoke about curbing teen vaping, he had an unusual choice of words when describing his own son. Explaining that his wife had originally gotten involved with the cause because of Barron, Trump added,
She's got a son together that is a beautiful young man, and she feels very, very strongly about it.
Maybe Barron got caught by the Secret Service with an illicit jewel in his school bag. Or maybe Donald was just speaking off the cuff, as he does from time to time. Whatever it is, when your dad calls you your mother's son, it's usually not good. In January 2020, during a walk across the White House lawn, it was noted that a then 13-year-old Barron appeared a smidge taller than his father. Today reported, Barron will turn 14 in March, so it makes sense he is hitting his growth spurt now. Though the president is officially listed as being 6'3" according to the official White House physicians report, Barron has appeared taller than him as far back as the age of 12, when Town & Country pulled another lawn picture where he appears to have the edge. His official height isn't a matter of public record, as his parents closely guard his medical privacy, but according to the U.S. Sun, some have speculated Barron could be as tall as 6 feet 6 inches. Blasting local governments across the nation, Donald Trump tweeted on July 6, 2020, "Schools must open in the fall." Doing the math, that meant Barron had been home from school for nearly 4 months at the time, and any parent who was in the same predicament was probably able to relate. Despite Donald's demands, however, Barron's school, St. Andrew's Episcopal in Maryland, has only conducted online classes as of October 2020. When Barron contracted COVID-19 in the fall of 2020, Donald wasted no time citing him as an example as to why schools should fully reopen.
We know the disease, we know the situation with age versus younger people.
At a rally in Iowa, the president questioned whether his son even knew he had the virus and noted that because he was young and his immune system was strong, he recovered from the virus relatively quickly. Donald added, "And Barron is beautiful, and he's free. Free." Former Trump attorney Michael Cohen isn't just a guy who pled guilty to tax fraud and making illegal campaign contributions on behalf of a candidate. In addition to being a convicted felon, he was also a longtime fixer for the Trump family, using his connections to do them a number of favors. Those favors, according to Stephanie Winston Wokoff's book Melania and Me, The Rise and Fall of My Friendship with the First Lady, reportedly included helping Barron secure admission to top private schools.
I can back up everything that's in the book. 100%. A Trump is a Trump is a Trump.
According to the book, Cohen served on the board of the prestigious Columbia Grammar and Prep School in New York, and Melania allegedly used him to help get Barron enrolled. The author went on to claim that despite the school's predominantly Democratic parent circle, the future First Lady got a slew of playdate invites once Donald Trump won the presidency. It's so nice to see people can put politics aside for the sake of their children, we think. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more list videos about your favorite celebs are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.